Welcome you to this beautiful and auspicious day of the Centennial celebration of Pala. Today we are celebrating a life which is all about compassion, all about love, and all about unconditional understanding. Pala's life we will celebrate today, we will honor him. And we have friends and families who have come from all parts of the world. There have been letters received from all the way from Dharamsala, from Dugling, from Drupung Monastery, from everywhere where they are celebrating and praising Pala's life.
Thank you, Raj, answering. Thank you very much, Your Holiness, for gracing us all with the profound teachings that you'll give us and your presence today in celebrating at the Tsechen Kunchabling temple. We're extremely grateful to you. As you know, you're a big part of the reason why my mother and father met. So thank you. Let's go back to 1959. There was strong evidence that China's People's Liberation Army would attempt to kidnap or even kill His Holiness the Dalai Lama. There were spies all over the place. My father was one of His Holiness's caretakers and a member of the Tibetan government. Once in India, my father worked on various capacities. He helped in the re-establishment of the Tibetan government in exile. He edited His Holiness the first autobiography, My Land and My People. He was involved in the relocation of the Tibetan refugees in the settlements, including the monasteries, as the Home Secretary from North to South India. And later, he worked in the settlements in South India and was involved with the development of it. In retirement, as you can see, reflected by the people here, he inspires many of us to promote Tibetan values, to make our world a more peaceful place, and work on the development projects to improve livelihoods. One such project that I and a number of us have dedicated ourselves to in the last 5 years is the development of an economic model to make the largest Tibetan refugee settlement, Dugling Mongut, a sustainable place so that the great monasteries of Ganden and Drepung could thrive for many generations. In addition, The hope is to make it a model for other Tibetan communities to consider. So today, I would like to extend our gratitude to my father and the elders here for laying a solid foundation and path, a foundation and path for Tibetans and non-Tibetans to build upon or walk on for generations to come. A question I'm often asked is, what is the secret of my father's long life and happiness? About a decade ago, a Chinese friend asked my father what was his secret. Ironically, his father-in-law was one of the soldiers involved with the occupation of Tibet. Without hesitation, my father pointed to my mom. This is when I realized that my father is not only very compassionate and wise, but also very smart. Kidding aside, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize my mother, as she's one of the kindest individuals and an embodiment of compassion. She's my family's rock, our father's rock. She's our family's rock. Thank you, Amala. Thank you, Your Holiness. And thank you all for coming. Tashtilek Pala, on your 100 years. I cannot express in words, and I can say for many of us here, how grateful we are to you and Amala for leading us and for guiding us, and in particular for us 3 children. My older sister, who's sitting and I have an older sister. This is my older sister's brainchild, this event. And as always, she always tries to make us shine, but behind the scenes, she's doing most of the hard work. So I'd like to thank Your Holiness again, and thank all the elders, and thank you all for coming. Thanks.
I think parents and caretakers, or whoever our guardians are, have a massive influence in our lives. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional already. The impact of my father has been great. He's not been just a father, but also a mentor, a guide, in every phase of my life. And the lessons he taught me were never like he would sit me down and give me a lesson or a lecture. It was always by how he led through his values and through his actions that made me realize what a parent should be, what an individual or human being should be, and what a child or a responsible human being should be in this world today. In the 1990s, when we had a referendum within the Tibetan community, my father was speaking about the middle way path, and I was this young, bright-eyed undergrad thinking that I knew everything about the world, and I spoke about independence for Tibet. My father, in awe and much respect, saw me rise up and speak in public with a very opposing view to what he held. But with respect, he spoke and he listened and he heard what I had to say. And I realized that's how dialogue happens. That's how collaboration happens. That's how, when you listen and when you hear another person's view from their perspective, you realize that that's what brings about peace, that's what brings about progress, and that's what the essence of humanity is, listening to what others have to say. Doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult or a peer or an elder, but hearing each other's, what your opinions are, treating each other with respect and with an open mind, whether that's compassion, whether that's spirituality, it is humanity, and that's the sense that my father has taught me.
Thank you, TSERING. Thank you, TSEWANG. A few weeks ago, when we were trying to come out with, what would be the themes, and we were trying to just discuss on what is Pala's legacy, 3 things came which became very apparent and very clear that this was the legacy that he has lived with. It was East and West. It was humility and compassion, and it was unconditional love. You've heard this both in TSEWANG's note and in TSERING's note, how the children have felt it. I came to know about this family. TSEWANG was my roommate 20 years ago, so I've known this family almost now for 20 years, and I've received only love, unconditional love. I just feel I'm their fourth child. The next speaker is going to talk about compassion in education and leadership. Ambassador Barrett does not need any introductions. She's a main figure in herself, trustee of the school that I went to and TSEWANG went to, and request Ambassador Barrett to please come and share some of her thoughts on how to weave compassion in education and leadership.
Good morning, and thank you. Tashi Delek. Craig and I are honored to join in celebrating the life and teachings of Mr. Gyaltsen Choden, or for all of us today, Pala. The values that you teach, Your Holiness, and of the values of Pala have lived through your deep faith and commitment to the Tibetan tradition, and they enlighten our world. I especially learned from your teachings on respect and inclusivity, love, compassion, and understanding of interdependence. We have been taught that everyone, whether Buddhist or non-Buddhist, believer or non-believer, is trying to find happiness that cannot be found through wealth or through power or through force. Instead, we know we have to find happiness through training our own minds. We have been taught that the only way to find happiness is through qualities like loving, kindness, compassion, forgiveness, and tolerance. These words offer a compassionate foundation upon which all of us, both in our work and our personal lives, can achieve something special, making our individual worlds and our collective world better. Craig and I have endeavored to put compassion in action through education. We believe young people find enlightenment through learning and understanding. We profoundly appreciate that with the support of your colleagues, you were able to bring those lessons to Arizona through His Holiness the Dalai Lama's transformative conversations with students at Thunderbird School of Global Management. Thunderbird students carry that message in their work to help people around the world. Thunderbird students come from widely diverse global cultures and meet in a unique campus, where they have a common goal of learning how to lead and get things done. In the process, they learn caring, compassion, thoughtfulness, and mindfulness. As a result, the graduates of Thunderbird and the larger Arizona State University are imbued with a greater understanding throughout their lives and the organizations with which they invest their careers. We know that irrespective of religion, the first thing that each student must do is to be a good human being. We understand that someone who is truthful and honest and cares for others instead of thinking of their own well-being will face their everyday difficulties with the spiritual path and actually find greater happiness. Yes, the values you teach, the values you lived, through your deep faith and commitment, have enlightened our world. We are grateful indeed. I trained as an astronaut from 225 miles above Earth in the International Space Station. No economic or religious boundaries are seen. Instead, from space, we recognize our commonality and our interdependence. We see Earth as the work of the hands of a more mindful force than any of ours, and that world is entrusted to us. Through photographs, we observe our inextricably interdependent life here. Thank you for the peace, happiness, and uncommon wisdom that you have disseminated through your first 100 years. Pala, we wish you peace. Thank you.
India's influence and the Tibetan influence has been so powerful in helping both the cultures grow. We are extremely honored to have Ashish to share with us some of his thoughts on India-Tibetan spirituality.
His Holiness, Sri Gyaltsen Choden, all elders present here and friends. Pala, wish you a very happy 100th birthday. It's an honor for me to be here on a momentous occasion like this, in such divine presence and such a distinguished gathering. India and Tibet are brothers. They've been together through thick and thin for thousands of years. There are many facets and aspects to a very deep, genuine, and a profound bond. One very strong link between Tibet and India is the Nalanda tradition. The Nalanda University is the world's oldest university, which thrived in India from 500 to about 1200 CE. When the Muslim invaders came and destroyed the Nalanda University, its monasteries and in temples, the practitioners who came from all over the world, from as far as Japan, Korea, Tibet, China, Turkey, and most notably the Tibetans, were the guardians of the Nalanda tradition. India being the guru and the Tibetans being the chela. As guardians, the Tibetans safeguarded this precious knowledge of compassion, of wisdom, of kindness for hundreds of years. And when the Chinese invaded Tibet and Palala escaped to India, along with many wise Tibetan elders and holy men, as karma would have it, who had safeguarded the Nalanda tradition for hundreds of years, brought it back. With many wise men here, including His Holiness, with your blessings, we all are committed to support TSEWANG on this divine mission of reviving the Nalanda tradition. And as His Holiness said himself most recently, the time has come for the chela to be the guru and the guru to be the chela. So India is now the chela of the Tibetan wisdom of Nalanda tradition, and we are grateful to you to bring it back. We rejoice Palala's divine 100 years, and I say to him in Hindi, आप जियो हजारों साल और हर साल के हों दिन 1000. May you live 1,000 years and may each year have 1,000 days. Thank you. Dhanyavad tujhe.
Continuing on the message of spirituality, what better way to share a good spirituality than with the food? A Michelin star-rated chef who also believes in the continuity of spirituality and talking through now values of the Nalanda tradition, Chef Eric.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very happy and very humbled to be on the front of you here, and thank you, Your Holiness, for hosting the birthday of Pala today, 100 years. It's pretty amazing, and what you have achieved in your life is pretty amazing. When we talk about Nalanda values, I'm definitely not an expert, and I think it's many experts here in this room who could talk about that. But the fact that Pala made this huge sacrifice, go to India, and to stay behind, and then to join him and recreate the Tibetan community in exile in Dharamsala. This is one of the values of Nalanda University in action. To see the settlements in Dharamsala, and I visited Dharamsala, and I went to the settlements to see what was happening, and to see the refugees arriving there and being welcomed and being trained and helped to be able to either way stay in Dharamsala or have the possibility to travel the world and end up in countries like America that are welcoming Tibetan people, and to see that vibrant community being rebuilding monasteries and keeping your tradition alive, sharing your tradition of compassion, love with the Western world. This is the legacy of the Nalanda University. Many masters in Nalanda, including Shantideva and Nagarjuna, inspired a lot of the Vajrayana influence that you're sharing with us today. And I'm just a simple cook talking about something that I'm not really expert at. And when I see the picture of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, saying, I'm just a simple monk, you can imagine how humble I am to talk about those values. However, I'm extremely joyful to see you all again celebrating your culture, sharing your culture with us. That is helping us to find inner peace, and therefore give us the ability to find love and compassion for other sentient beings, and the possibility to escape samsara and achieve nirvana, which is obviously a switch in consciousness. So I will be very short. I wish you again, Pala, a great happy birthday, and thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Continuing on the message of compassion, continuing on the message of spirituality, and continuing on the mission of Pala, let me invite our next speaker, Bob Thurman, who's going to talk about how do we bring compassion in action.
Thank you. So, Your Holiness, I'm so happy to be here at your center and celebrate today, and all of you who have gathered here, and the Reverend Pema Wantagla, my old friend, and on this wonderfully auspicious day of congratulating Gyaltsen Choden for his 100th year, which is totally inspiring to all of us. And may it not be the last, may there be many more. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has promised everybody to live to 113 years of age, and we expect you to keep up. So Gyaltsen Choden has lived this useful 100 years so far in the midst of very difficult circumstances of the Chinese destruction of Tibet and the flight into exile of a small but very significant minority of the Tibetan people, based on a realistic sense of wisdom at the heart of the Tibetan culture. And once there is wisdom, then one realizes one is interconnected with everybody else. One is not the center of the universe. Everyone is the center of the universe, and one therefore is responsible of being of help and benefit and loving and compassionate to other beings. So this is the heart of Tibetan culture, and the one thing that I've been thinking about today since I got here, Gyaltsen Choden La, what a wonderful name. He is like the icon of the Tibetan people, what they have brought to the world in the midst of their own suffering and their exile and their loss of the country and the death of many of their relatives and friends, they have brought the Dharma, which means the reality and the teaching of the Buddha, from India, lost there overtly, but still there, and then kept alive in Tibet, and now brought back to the whole world in the midst of their suffering. So that's Choden, his name, possessing the teaching and the reality, the faith in the reality of goodness in the world. And then Gyaltsen. Gyaltsen means a sign of victory. And what is the victory? In the midst of the suffering of dislocation and exile and the craziness that egocentric people who don't know what is going on in the world and they think it's all about them are creating, this mess that they are creating in the world. In the midst of that, the victory is the victory of happiness, the victory of love and compassion, the joy of the actual knowledge of what is real, as opposed to the unreality of the misery of suffering. So the victory that Gyaltsen Choden represents is he holds the teaching of the victory, the banner of victory of joy and happiness and kindness and love and compassion over selfishness and misery and stupidity and the suffering of those who are not aware of the nature of reality, who are ignorant of that. So this is why today is such a special day, because we are celebrating someone who, in the midst of a very difficult life, losing his country, wandering into exile, but still clinging to the reality that everything is possible, that happiness and freedom is possible, and making his contribution to it, and thereby having the energy, drawing on that reality, to be with us 100 years and many more years. And that's Gyaltsen Choden, and that is the whole nature of the Tibetan people and the Tibetan culture. And he is a most honored representative of that nature and that culture. The victory of happiness and possibility and joy and love and compassion over the stupidity that we see around us when we don't look carefully enough. Thank you so much. Thank you, Your Holiness. And thank you. And TSEWANG, your son TSEWANG, thank you so much, TSEWANG.
Let me invite our next set of speakers who've had a very long tradition with this family and with the whole Tibetan culture, the Woods. Kathy Wood, Joe Wood, please.
Tuchiche, and Tuchiche. Sometimes miracles happen when you least expect them. Some 20 years ago, at a dinner party with Hemanta Mishra, I mentioned I wanted to visit Dharamsala while Joe was going to visit the World Bank in Delhi. Little did I imagine the miracle that would take place in my life in a whole new direction, thanks to my audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He said, "I need you to go to Tibet." And I looked at him with wide eyes thinking, yes, I will do that. So we come back to Washington and we get a call from Lodi Gary who says, "Oh, I hear you met His Holiness. He wants you to go to Tibet. Will you come and talk to me?" So he sent us off to Tibet, and we did projects in Tibet for about 6 years until they shut us down. And I was desperate to keep working there and keep visiting all of the Tibetans that we just came to love. But it was not to be, and another experience popped up in our life. I got a call from Arthur Cutler, the man who wrote The Art of Happiness. And he said, "I have a young Tibetan man here who is coming to Washington to work, and I know when I met you, you just have the kind of heart that would take him into your house." I said, "Of course." Well, guess who that was? TSEWANG Namgyal. And for years he came, he stayed with us in Washington, and ever since we moved to Cape Cod, and he and his family come. And so we really feel like we're so much a part of this family. And his father has been my guide. He gave me my name. I was on the metro in Washington, but I got the courage to say, would you give me a name? And he said, yes, I want you to be named TSERING Dokar, which means long life, long life. For all the time since, we've been working together and doing more and more projects, but now in India, in the settlements, working both in Bailakupi and in Dugulik, or at least I'm working in Bailakupi because that's where all his cousins are, and I happen to be sponsoring all of his cousins. So that's enough for me. My husband's going to say a few words too. Thank you.
TSEWANG mentioned earlier today that there are two broad themes to this gathering. One is the gratitude we feel to Pala and the elders for all that they have done. And the second theme is the challenge to those of us who come behind to pick up and continue that legacy. Kathy has talked about the gratitude we feel. I can only echo that every day we count our blessings, that we have been included in this wonderful family that Pala and Amala have created. And I also just want to conclude by saying that in terms of carrying on the legacy, Kathy and I remain very much committed to picking up and continuing the work which Palala began in this small stretch of barren forest land a generation, almost 2 generations ago, which has already been converted into an amazing place. I encourage all of you who can to come and visit. But it's also not just a place to look at, it's a place that houses an incredible storehouse of Tibetan culture and tradition and learning, which we are committed to doing whatever we can to help benefit the broader world. Thank you.
I want to express deep gratitude and thank you to Ambassador Barbara, Ashish, Bob, Chef Eric, Kathy and Joe. You've all shared your own experiences with Pala. You've shared wonderful learnings and deep intellect with this group. We hope all of us can take that one piece that Pala has led his entire life on, the compassion and unconditional love. And let's ensure that this Nalanda tradition about learning, about love, and about compassion, we can carry it in our hearts. So once again, thank you to all the distinguished speakers.
So today, on this very auspicious day, our Pongola's centenary birthday celebration, I'm very happy to be here because our relationship has been very long time. I first time met him in 60 years ago in Darjeeling, and introduced as a Gyaltsen Choden, and then he is very learned, and he is my teacher. He taught me the Tibetan literature, the literature and the Kanesad. They were all, when I was young in Tibet, I already studied them, but at that time, it was from the root text, so it was quite difficult to understand. But he taught me through this commentary, which is very easy to understand. So it was very helpful. And then later he married to Tundu Samo, who is my relative. And so since then we become very close friends, very, very, very close family, same family almost. And so since then, we've been here in India and in America in many parts of India. We are kind of all the time together. So today also, on this very historical occasion of centenary celebration, that I will be here, I'm here, very happy to be here, and wishing him a very happy birthday, and Tashi Dele, and many happy returns, many more years. His health is still good, so we hope to live him many more years. And then at the same time, that since we are here on very auspicious day, and we are the monks, nuns, and the lay people, everyone gathering together, that it is very important to pray for His Holiness Dalai Lama, who is the supreme head of the spiritual as well as the temple of Tibet. And he, although there's the good news that he is now recovered completely and he is back to his normal health again, but still this is his obstacle year. And so therefore it is very important to pray that he will not have any of the obstacles, and he will live very long life and fulfill all his wishes. If we all pray together, many people gathering together, then it is very effective. Instead of praying by oneself, if we pray all together, it is very, very effective. So this is why I would like to request everybody to do so. And then at the same time, prayer is very important. At the same time, we all want to have a long life, good health, and peace of mind, and happiness. And this we have to create. The great Indian master Shanti Deva said, all the happiness that exists in this universe comes wanting from others to be happy. If we, based on the selfish thoughts, and if we think about oneself alone, one's own well-being alone, one could never achieve the happiness. But if we just like ourselves one wishing to have a happiness, every sentient being, from tiny insects up to a human being everywhere, every living being has the same feeling. And so therefore, instead of caring for ourselves alone, that we should think of all the other sentient beings to be happy and to be with the cause of happiness, so that they will enjoy the continuous happiness. And so for this, we have to train, because our mind is associated with the defilements, such as the opposite of the loving kindness, like hatred, anger, jealousy, pride, etc. So these are very easy to, with very little reasons that they can arise. So we must think, when we used to think that enemy is the one who tortures you, one who hurts you. Now, enemy is not at the outside. Enemy is within our own mind. Our own hate, anger, our own hatred, our own jealousy, pride are the real enemies that create sufferings to ourselves in this life as well as in our future lives. And so therefore, instead of attacking on the outside enemy, we must think back to our own enemy and try to suppress this enemy and try to develop a genuine and unconditional love and compassion to all sentient beings. And when you have this, then naturally one will experience happiness. And so therefore, it is important for us every day in our life to make the efforts. If we make the efforts, everything becomes easy. There's nothing that could not be made easy if we tried. So therefore, we must try our best to train in loving kindness and compassion. That is the essence of the teaching of all the religions in the world. I believe that all the major religions of the world emphasize the importance of practicing the loving kindness and the compassion. And in Buddhism also, the compassion is the most important. It is like a seed in the beginning, and it is like a fertilizer in the meantime, and in the end, it is like the result. So all the time, from beginning to end, the compassion is the most important thing. And so therefore, the little compassion that which we have is very precious. And so this we must try to develop genuine. And so in this way that we will try. So now I'm going to begin the long life initiation. Long life initiation. 다다가 차원시야인 들어야 당보 semje시야 the 계신부래. ene nangala thame bashin simjen thame bari thame be simjen rere ne chene ene ranjanan ji phama ma ju ba ji kame ba yindu tane te thamje dungala japne dewala goya tinde gi che na ba thamje jam zo ba sanji ji khombaran ba ji chene je thobar cha nyam ba te da be ne zo ba sanji ji khomba tho cha che do ene atene tsering bu goya de keshin ba yindu tane ene tela ya chawan sama shune ene chawan ne sumbe thamje da dombe cho 타다 출신도 숨기 인사바 근데 다가나시 최슈 군도 제바 이나이 룽아이수 귀바던 제바 거네 애니 슈거와 임바레 근데 차와라 다 망보 요라 가서 별 간쟁 저라 타래 애니 사기 까니다 슈주리스 마셰베 아지 나래 차왕 리면다 망고 시라요 다른디 다른 차왕디 믹세르 버지레 믹세 카이르스는 라멘 난주던 데베 창화인바레 라멘 난주던 데베 창화던 라마데네 무주 탐제 자와 라마 칸시도지 점바이 무주 로벤 임버소 로벤 지스 다소 송바인바 텐데 인디자네 무주 로벤 젠다 송센 송바 텐데 인디자네 라멘 난주던 데베 추주 텔라에네 다 추전 탐동 잡으시는 다 별래야 나모 엔데 마시바 초전 자신부 슈주리스 마제베게 쩌메 용자기 주변 온주 신불을 지나야 안든지 요아래 되게 애니 가서를 shumare 고 뭐네잖아 구루를 미치 주바래 이나야 토몬도 전당올다 구루를 미치 로메 주제네 근데 공게 공당가 뭐 중에 라마치기 나네 추주 리면당에 짐바라 갑티도 별에 타래기 산인 좀들이스 마체베 가서 당관 년주 명아 타다 금박한주 추도 삼바 마세 애니 대다 냠세 나제 애니 주베 공방 통보를 샤네 주주기 관에 점불레 니마질이야 코르나 레스 전들 송소요래 간다 되네 주베 차주 츠르라 ene ringju da niju ni evan terin di niju ge za khas za shung ge nala ene sunde jaza re da nga tongda re de ba yin ene loja to ba tezo mes serial de indu en chawan di min la ya chawan loja ma sen sung yo re de ge chawan sum jo che ba la tambo da Menden Buyada, Suadavia, and to Dutane. And from now I'm going to give the long life initiation. Long life initiation is very important because everyone wishes to live long. And so for this is Masida Tangdong Gyalpo, who lived in 14th century, and he is non-sectarian. He received teachings from every school and practiced them and got very highly realized. And his teaching, and it is called the 100 years, the long life initiation of 100 years. Because in the root text it says that if you after receiving this initiation, if you recite the mantra 1,000 times, and if you recite the prayer 100 times every day, then you will live 100 years, the guarantee. so therefore it is called 100 years. And it's very auspicious to give such initiation to Bala, who is already 100 years. Dadawe tinchime tsawa sambo shiwe yundu, rangi lu lonju tu sumdu sabi gewa tsawa da jeba, namba mendali shi rirangi da sumda jeba lu chune. Chime tsawa sambo shiwe yundu, mi de mende shimbu wara shu. Ahun shi yonsu taba wangje sirje sashi. Om Badariki Ahum Chijari Kuyuki Kor Om Ri Jabori Ra Sharali Babu Lo Zambuli No Balachu Chandamini Lida Luba Ngaya Ngaya Shi Yoden da lam jodo, draminyen da draminyen jida, rinpoche reo basam jishi, deju jiba, mame bayi lodo, kolo rinpoche, nurgu rinpoche, somo rinpoche, lombo rinpoche, lambo rinpoche, Tajo Rinpoche, Mabe Rinpoche, Tere Chimbo Yibumba, Gibam, Tiwama, Luma, Karam, Ubuma, Medoma, Mamema, Tijama, Nima, Da, Rinpoche, Du, Sale, Nambarja, Gyaltsen, Lada, Mi, Bak, Tusu Sanje Tamje Jingo, Tsume Bande Lama Tambe, Chime Tsawa Somo Shuwe Yundu Ur Jiu, Tuje Do Etende Shi, Shene Shinje Labdu So, Dara Me Depune, Cha Nimba Medoda Je, Tamujande Soa Dewa, Legion de la Sonde, Gunje Ishi Pombojen, Sibe Kolonam Joa, Tirinche Veringender, So Dala Kadinzo, Chesha Bama Banene, So Shenla Jamaji, Joaba Tujenji, Roja Dala Naurdu, Quinje Ishi Pombojen, did the Markelan, Janasam Lewata, Likadinara and the Mide Mende Shimbu Araju, Yigu Vijabori, Jalibabo, Lord Zamu, No Balanje, Jandami. Lida Lumba Ngaya Da Ngaya She Yoden Da Lam Jojo Daminyen Da Daminyen Jid Rinpoche Ryo Basam Jishi Deje Ba Mame Bayi Lod Kolo Rinpoche Nivurim Zima Rinpoche Alobjir Gyawa Dida Tamje Raud. Tusun Shekwe Gyawa Tamje Jingoa Kala Chodunga. Taki Kewe Zawa Dikinja Sambo Cheche Raudungo. Temba Jikden Kamsu Chumba Dan Temba Nyi Shindusa. Tenzin Belo Gindin Tumbai Temba Yurin Neve Tashish. Kanri Rawe Korwe Shingasu Pendan Dewa Maliju Chere Siwan Tenzin Jazu Shabe Sidi Pardu Tenjurji
Khuri Tembe Soshin Kyanggun Kongma Tijin Doji Chan Chimbu Chodan Yumse Gugurje Wala Ya Tsamdi Kuja Ngondu Pune Ani Tring de Aulage Konlu Jakobe Tunga Le Pebe Ani Kundun Nambatinge Tsangmata Ani Ganzu Bunji Da Chodaka Mangujing Ne Peyore Europe Towa Ne Peyu Ani Tsangmaloli Ya Zashin Zebe Tsamdi Deshtile Shuyayin
Ri right? My uncle was born prior to Chinese invasion of 1950, so he has, I would say, and since then he served under His Holiness the Dalai Lama before the invasion of China, even in exile. Basically, he dedicated all his life serving the Tibetan people. And for that, I need you to clap again.
just brief announcement that we will be having, we are serving tea and a little bit of bread, as you know, many Tibetans enjoy tea and bread. And for the next performance, we have 3 nieces performing. Basically, it's calling for the unity of the 3 provinces in Tibet, Kham, Amdo, and Utsang. So next we have a Prince Walden Namgyal from Sikkim, presenting. Historically, Sikkim has been very good to the Tibetans, and if you had been able to come to our home, my grandmother's famous tea is based on Sikkim tea. And please help me welcome Prince.
So, people say timing is everything, but I realize where it's placed in the program is also very important. It's very challenging spot to be on to follow that group before. But I did want to spend maybe just make some brief remarks. First, I'd like to, like many other speakers, congratulate Umala on his 100th birthday, and really say that this is not just a birthday celebration, but it really is a recognition of his tremendous contribution to the Tibetan cause. And with that, I wanted to just say a few short words about the close ties that have bound Sikkim and Tibet. And I think many of you may not know, but my father, Trigger Pandit Namgyal, was very close friends with the Dalai Lama and the Tibet. But more importantly, when the crisis came to Tibet, and His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and many other lamas and Tibetans were fleeing Tibet, almost all of them were first welcomed into Sikkim first. And it was during that time, even His Holiness Sakaticha, he not only came to Sikkim, but spent many decades in Sikkim before going to the West. And it was also during that time that there were many Tibetan refugees who were selling their most precious belongings. And with the crisis that was happening in Tibet, there was a lot of concern about what was going to happen to Tibetan culture. So believe it or not, at that time, we established something called the Namgyal Institute of Tibetology, whose main role was to actually preserve Tibetan religious articles and Tibetan culture. And I'd just like to say, I think many decades later, seeing the progress that Tibet has made, it's inconceivable to imagine that an institute like that would be needed, thanks to the efforts of people like Umila that have really preserved and not only strengthened Tibetan culture and exposed it to the West. So with that, I wanted to give everybody a very happy birthday and congratulations.
Much has been said and written about, and even more will be said and written about Kongwa Gyaltsen Choden's contributions and impact on our Tibetan community on so many different levels through his years of service. But I wanted to say a few words about what my uncle has meant to me and my family, how he has touched and shaped my life. And not because I'm the sole beneficiary of my uncle Kongwa Gyaltsen Chondela's benevolence and wisdom, but because my story is just one example and is reflective of the way in which he has touched and shaped the lives of so many people just like me.
Start off with a poem I wrote back in high school. It was more in Queens, and it's about a place that I find to be the most calm-inducing and just the place where I want to be, and that is resting my head on my grandfather's lap. And the title of this poem is called A Calm Silence in New York City. I rest my head on my grandfather's lap, gazing up into his aged pearl gray eyes, listening to the subtle contact between his lips as he chants, O mani bime hum, O mani bime hum. And with one hand, he gently rubs my cheek. With the other, he clasps a rosary made from bodhi seeds. He moves his thumb over each bead and snaps it back at a cathartic 1-2 tempo, chanting, O mani bime hum, O mani bime hum. This is our typical Sunday morning dyad, a convergence of childish dedication, venerable dedication, and sinful indulgence. Thank you.
birthday. I guess he has lived a century now, and I wish him even a longer life. I think that he's a true treasure of Tibet. Having lived that long, he has seen so much happen within Tibet and even outside of Tibet, when Tibetans were first settling within India and Nepal and neighboring countries. Gongala was so helpful in that transition.
Lama Kebarchen, Sakata Trimbachi, Chibuna Chechene, any Kawa Sunchu Cutting Cambre, Gyaltsen Choden Choda Sakyadak Rinpoche Nyingla Kemartan Power Karishwayo Sana Gong Rabachi Yimbigena Mune Tane Peki Tangi Loda Mangpuchi Ringa Peki Gyungachi Dus Che Yundu Kaba Chi Gyawa Rinpoche Tugun Khan Yobate O Yin Tsen Tu Trubul Peki Drubnangi Kemarchin Michirediore
Sa Tangude Aula Gonglo Gyakowada Digi temde de char tho pemasi gauchons agula hajangi ngonzon na geri mainere yegi nangmi mainere pemasi karin chimbo yin shwengi and chinju gane nangmi niwa nangshi chene agula nangmi nimbo dewa yoche ani chundu gane lamdo mangbu nawata ani nenga chesa ngara meze khadu godu chungwa yin baine agula ge lapche lamdo na ani semshu paraya khari nawan sangman nang chen dandaba to yapu chungwe to agulagi cutting chembo shuch ngwen zingi yo
Happy birthday, Bola! Happy birthday, Popola!
So happy birthday, Popola!
공호 gen지 춘들라게 공로 갸페버데 니모들라 니기 셰바시메 창메기 찹슈네 니 공라라 테스트레다 네메 체링 요에 차 람조 요에 멸람예 토체나
Popola! Happy birthday, Popola! Happy birthday, Popola! Kungula, happy birthday!
아니 nganzoi palagi 아니 nangmi chipo la tsewa mewa korangi mirik la tsewa shoes yore ta chungdune chale kharin nangne tapyu thakbu yakbu chi yongyage korangi pe thapshen nang yore palagi chizo la gawu shu yore soso lungba phela pe tsewu yore 아니 nima takpa sengyu sengire nganzu sengyu 수 송그래 palagi 아니 kinanzu de tri pewadela to chana nganzu gawu shu shonsos 아니 nganzu kyangrombo chegi drink gyayun shimoda konanzogi de nganzu changma di party da changma 점점 제와들라 to chana shuguyo 아니 kungalagi nganzu charo shus nangso to chana shuguyis 아니 nganzogi da volunteer 다 당라 전에 추다 그래 가르치고도 내 가르치도 상당히 제반나네 송구도 근데로 토체나 스트링 안조디 volunteer 매나다 드링 영야 영 말해서 나니 키우셔서 걔한테 키우 영예셔레스 아니 간주기 빨라야 이신호부기 카리 송네 다 춘뒤네 별랑네 가와 유송네 백이어레스 아니 이신호부 야갈라 추페차 외슈라 아니 빨라 야갈라 추페레 근데 이신호부기 다 내 유송네 폐기어래 파게 유송네 폐기어래 다 가리 까낭네 빨라기 디 셈네 다가란 다 간주송나 obeyed his every wish 라그라 다 이신호부 빨래 아니 가스네 이신호부 상규 나라 간주 거야 될라 다 용구도스 근데 간주 정말 툭방부 열에서 얘네 간주 제약 시작하요만 일melom 쉬야 열에서 아니 드링 간주 고만게 계실라라 아니 간주 장마님도 전에 이신호부기 겨외샤름식 로초가시스 and this 슐라니 간주 고시 접촉을
나자는 셔다베선데 간지응군보의 땡땡 자도 꿀대 메시 발견하되 셰델랭게 도벌의 징길 반도의 렌도의 진액 나와의 도금의 자도 다제 팬데의 도정마와 하열 감정의 뜻의 겨와 담자 나자의 뜻을 답해서는 관심 공부의 땡땡 자들 꿀대 메시가 겨라든 신을 랭게 도발의 징계 지대 선례 관계 인듯 초대의 시와의 남자의 내뱉 삼의 미역 원사의 야외 태수의 담배 제게 선언 나자의 근심